Hey guys, it's me Meteor, and welcome back to another edition of What is Kirby Canon. This time we're talking about Marx and the Novas. The story of Marx is actually pretty straightforward. Basically, it takes place at the Fountain of Dreams, you can see there in the background, and Marx is all, "Hey, the sun and the moon are fighting. Can you get them to stop? The only way to get them to stop is by collecting the pieces of the Nova. Therefore you can grant the wish and make everything peaceful back in Dreamland or Popstar again. Hooray, everything's happy." But truth is, Marx didn't care about that at all. In fact, Marx had other plans entirely. In fact, the truth is, Marx was the one who actually made the sun and the moon fight in the first place to make Kirby gather those pieces of the Nova, because he wanted to use the Nova for his own selfish desires, because he had a hunger for power. So basically, the plan worked. Kirby, realizing the fault he just made, the horrible mistake he just made, decides to attack the problem at its core. Quite literally, he actually attacks the Galactic Nova nucleus, or Heart of Nova in the original Superstar, but that's another story for another day. Kirby's next step, after destroying the Nova's innards, he actually decided to take on Marx himself and defeat him. And of course, Kirby does exactly that. Not only does he defeat Marx, he actually manages to get Marx to actually crash into the Nova and make it explode entirely, therefore killing both the Nova and Marx at the same time. At least, it would seem that way. If you manage to actually beat the true arena, you'll see an extra little cutscene here of Marx pretty much dead, but the power of the Nova itself actually consumes Marx. Like all of the Nova, he absorbs the entire Nova itself and turns into Marx's soul. This form is essentially a zombified version of Marx, since Marx, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much dead. Once you defeat Marx's soul, nothing really special happens. Oh yeah, except for the fact he screams really loud and his face splits in half. Yeah, that's a little overkill. Despite the fact he's clearly dead in every way, shape, and form imaginable, some people still tend to point out, "Hey look, Marx is in the audience! Marx is in the audience! Marx is in the audience!" I really doubt that's canon in any way, shape, or form, and if it is, that would mean Dark Meta Knight... Oh, sorry, different topic entirely there. All of that aside, however, this was not the only time the Nova was actually used. It was actually used as well in Meta Nightmare Ultra, when Meta Knight used it to actually summon Galactonite. It's kind of funny when you think about it. Kirby wanted to wish for peace, Marx wished for power. Meta Knight? He just wishes for a powerful fighter. That's all he cares about. Just wanted to prove that he's the best, I guess. Because, you know, Meta Knight's just that awesome, I guess? Whatever. Interesting of note, however, is the fact the animation for the Nova actually looks a bit different than when Kirby summoned it. It actually looks like it's constructing itself back together. This has led to a bunch of speculation as to whether there is one, or two, or more Nova out there. I'm going to put that speculation to rest and tell you right now that there has to be at least two Novas. Why? There are two ways of looking at this. Let's imagine that Marx's soul was made before the events of Galactonite. That would mean that Marx already gathered up all the power of the Nova and all the pieces and everything that it has before Meta Knight could even summon them, meaning that the Nova wouldn't exist. Okay, what if the events take place after those of Galactonite? That would mean by the time that Meta Knight actually summoned the Nova will be back together again. Therefore, Marx's soul wouldn't be floating in just a bit of space and rubble there. So, there would have to be two for both the events of Galactonite and Marx's soul to be canon. In fact, Magalore even confirms by saying cosmic stars that roam the cosmos. How do we explain the cutscene then? Well, it's probably because the developers decided to add in Marx's soul as a last minute thing and didn't have time to change the cutscene in Meta Nightmare Ultra. Either that, or they just plain forgot about it. That's pretty much evidenced by the fact that Marx's soul doesn't even have its own music like most other Final Form bosses. Well, that's pretty much everything you need to know about Marx and the Novas, so next time we'll talk about dark matter and how interesting and mysterious they are. I'll see you guys next time.